An opening message to you from the Stoic Quotient. You were not born bitter. You were born open, soft-hearted, full of wonder, ready to love. But life didn't protect you. It hurt you. It showed you the worst of humanity when you were still learning what love even meant. You were shaped by betrayal that left you doubting your worth. Molded by silence when you cry for help. Pressured by rejection, abandonment and fear, so deep it carved its name into your nervous system. You didn't become distant because you didn't care. You became distant because it hurt too much to care and be let down again. The walls you built weren't cold. They were your only shield in a world that felt unsafe. But look at you now. Older, wiser, and still standing, still yearning. That means the part of you that wants to feel again is still alive. And you get to choose again. You don't have to hate anymore. You don't have to wear pain like armor. You don't have to be the strong one just to survive. You don't have to walk away first to avoid being abandoned. You can let go. You can let people in. You can feel. You can soften without falling apart. You can heal without having all the answers. And most of all, you can live. Not just exist, not just endure, but truly, deeply, peacefully live. Welcome back to the Stoic Quotient, where we don't just confront the pain, we transform it. Let's talk about how you can be healed, using the Stoic path to emotional liberation. Today's truth is hard and liberating. Yes, hate can be healed, and when it is, something remarkable happens. The inner chaos that once masqueraded as strength begins to dissolve. The dysfunction that governed your relationships loses its grip. The fear that kept you guarded softens. The illness, emotional, mental, even physical, begins to retreat. Because hate isn't just a feeling, it's a toxin. It seeps into your decisions, your posture, your breath. But the moment you begin to unravel it with honesty, everything it once fed on, resentment, blame, ego, begins to starve. And in that space, healing doesn't just begin, it takes over. But not through suppression, through truth. Hate isn't a permanent part of who you are, it's a scar worn like armor. It wasn't born in you, it was built around you, forged in moments when life felt unsafe, unfair, or unbearable. When your voice was silent, your heart was broken, or your trust was shattered. Hate stepped in as your shield. It whispered, "I'll protect you when no one else will." But what protected you back then imprisons you. Hate was never your nature. It was your reaction. It was your defense, not your destiny. And now the bravest thing you can do isn't to hold on to that armor, but to lay it down and let your heart breathe again. Hate is learned, which means it can be unlearned. It is inherited, which means it can be surrendered. But here's what most never understand. You don't fix hate by pretending it's not there. You don't beat hate by hating yourself for feeling it. You must trace it, understand it, and walk it back to the moment it began. Hate is the mask of a wound. No one is born full of hate. They're taught to believe that rage is safer than vulnerability, that control is safer than trust, that blame is safer than grief. Underneath every hateful outburst is an emotion that was never allowed to breathe, an ache too raw to name, too dangerous to feel. Fear that once screamed for safety and was met with silence. Betrayal that carved its memory into the soul without a witness. Abandonment that echoed louder than any goodbye. Shame that wrapped around the heart like a noose, tightening with every memory of unworthiness. These are not small wounds. They are emotional earthquakes disguised as temper. And unless they are honored, named, and released, they will keep finding ways to erupt. One hateful word, one broken relationship, one bitter regret at a time. If you want to dissolve the hate, you have to meet the pain it was built to protect. And here's something rarely asked. Are people who hate cowards? Not always, but often, yes. Because courage is not found in rage. It's found in the willingness to feel without lashing out. Hate avoids vulnerability. It hides behind the mask of strength while quietly fearing exposure. To hate is easy. To heal is brave. Hateful people say they love, but can they? Here's the contradiction. Many people who hate still to say, I love you. But love without emotional safety is not love, it's possession, control, or performance. You cannot fully love while harboring hate, because hate contaminates every gesture. It casts suspicion on kindness, turns affection into leverage, and intimacy into a power struggle. True love is not a declaration, it's a transformation, and that transformation is impossible without emotional integrity. The aging of a hateful heart. Hateful people may grow older, but they do not grow wiser. They grow heavier. Each year adds more resentment, more emotional scar tissue, more layers of silent grief masked by sharp words or withdrawn glances. They age into bitterness, not because time is cruel, but because they refuse to release the pain that chains them to the past. Their world contracts as trust becomes rare, laughter becomes guarded, and joy becomes a stranger. The face may wrinkle with age, but the heart wrinkles with regret, tightened by unspoken apologies, distorted by weaponized memories, hardened by years of avoidance. They don't mellow with time, they ossify. And in that emotional exile, loneliness doesn't just visit, it moves in, becoming the only thing they have left to talk to. Hateful hearts do not only hurt others, but they also sabotage themselves in silence and repetition. They become their own captors, replaying old wounds like a song stuck on repeat, too proud to press stop. They destroy trust by assuming betrayal before it ever happens. They erode relationships by pushing away those who care. They burn bridges, not in rage, but in silent fear that vulnerability will cost them control. They think they're protecting their pride, but what they're doing is entombing their potential in a coffin of bitterness. They choose short-term superiority, winning the argument, proving a point, staying guarded, over long-term connection, love, and peace. And in doing so, they kill the very things that could have saved them: empathy, forgiveness, humility. Hate doesn't protect, corrodes. It doesn't strengthen, it stiffens. Hate is not armor, it is acid, and it devours the one who carries it from the inside out, slowly, quietly, without mercy. But there's something else you need to see clearly. You need to pay attention to how other people keep you trapped. The toxic ones, the complainers, the drama people, the ones whose negativity you've absorbed for years. The ones that mesmerize you to follow their misery because they fear loneliness. They may be family, they may be old friends, but they are holding you back. Look closely. Are they in loving, stable relationships? Is their life what they preach? Or have they been stuck in cycles of brokenness and blame for years? Why are you letting the blind lead the blind? Why are you listening to people who haven't found peace themselves? Not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk with you forever. And until you release those toxic ties, the pain they feed will continue to grow inside you. Can hate be healed and the damage reversed? Yes, hate can be healed, but not through denial, distraction, or blaming the world for what lives inside us. Healing begins only through radical awareness, the kind that pierces the stories you've told yourself for years, the kind that strips away pride and says, I refuse to carry this poison another step. And it deepens through responsibility, not just for your actions, but for your healing, your triggers, your trauma, and the people you hurt while trying to protect yourself. You can't heal what you won't own, and you can't grow into peace while hiding behind pain. But the moment you stop running from your reflection and start confronting your truth with compassion, you begin to rewrite the story. You begin to become someone free. You were not born to hate. You became hateful to protect the version of you that was unloved, unheard, unseen. But that chapter is over. You are no longer that scared child. You are the author now. And when you stop identifying with hate, something extraordinary unfolds. You don't just reclaim your power, you reconnect with your soul. You find yourself no longer ruled by old grudges or invisible battles. The tightness in your chest eases, the weight on your shoulders lifts. Your thoughts, once hijacked by judgment and resentment, become calm, clear, and kind. You no longer walk into rooms with a wall around your heart. You walk in open, grounded, whole. Because when you let go of the identity that was built from pain, you don't lose yourself. You rediscover who you were before the hurt. And that is where peace lives. Your nervous system stops firing like you're in constant danger. Your sleep returns, not the restless kind filled with clenched jaws and racing thoughts, but deep, healing sleep that restores your soul. Your digestion calms, your breath deepens, your muscles unclench, because the body no longer believes it's living in a war zone. And slowly, something powerful happens. You stop reacting out of instinct and fear. You start responding with clarity and grace. The body no longer mirrors chaos. It begins to mirror peace. Hate recycles thoughts. Healing frees them. Seneca said, "Anger, if not restrained, is more harmful than the injury that provokes it." And Epictetus reminded us, "You become what you give your attention to, so if you feed hate, you become it. But if you feed clarity, compassion, and discipline, you become free." The Stoic doesn't suppress hate, they shine light on it until it loses its power. To the Stoic, healing hate is not a moral preference, it's a moral duty. Because the unhealed wound inside you doesn't stay quietly hidden, it leaks into your words, your relationships, your legacy. If you don't stop the cycle of pain inside you, you will pass it on to your children, to your partner, to strangers who remind you of someone who hurt you. Hate becomes inherited suffering, unless someone brave enough says, "It ends with me." The Stoic understands that the greatest battle is not with the world, but with the poison within. And to leave that poison unchecked is not only self-destructive, but also a betrayal of the very virtue we claim to live by. This is the Stoic Quotient, where we don't shame our darkness, we alchemize it. Where we don't get stuck in the story, we rewrite it. If this message stirred something in you, it means your healing is already beginning. Glad you were here today, and if today is the last time we meet this way, know that I'm proud of you, for listening, for feeling, for trying. Goodbye for now, dear soul. May you walk the road to peace with courage in your heart, and may your healing echo far beyond your own life. You deserve that peace. You always did. Like, share, and subscribe if you're ready to live above your wounds, because hate ends where healing begins. Thanks for watching the Stoic Quotient.